Is it like light or something?
Yeah, you're on camera. Fine, let's get going.
I hope I get like a famous thing.
So, wrap it up. Okay, you have paper and pencil. I'm going to go over these really fast because we've kind of talked about them already. But I want to make sure that you know some of this material for the test. We've already talked about the northern colonies, specifically Massachusetts Bay, right? Who settled Massachusetts Bay? Puritans, very strict, right? John Winthrop and the Puritans, and it was a sea colony. And people would come through Massachusetts Bay Colony, they wouldn't like how strict they were, so they would spread out. Then you go to New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, okay? And they started forming colonies in those areas. Now remember, right now we're calling them colonies because we are not the United States in the 16 and the 1700s, okay? We belong to England. Okay? Now, so as the 1700s come through and people begin spreading out, each region kind of gets a distinct culture and a distinct smell. Got a stinky. Some of them had stinky smells. Has a distinct culture and way of doing things. In the English colonies, the New England colonies, the ones up north, okay, named after New England, those colonies are going to be a lot of industry, okay? Subsistence farming, growing just enough to sustain themselves. I can't talk now. And a lot of industry. They're going to cut resources, the trees down, and float them down the rivers and ship them off to England. They do a lot of fishing, export fish, okay? Those types of things. The middle colonies, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, we're going to get into a little bit more farming. Now, we're not going to get into plantations here because the main thing that they're going to grow is going to be wheat.
Isn't it in your
It's near the bay it's going to be, but as you spread out, no. New York is a lot like Missouri if you drive through there. It's kind of got some rolling hills. It's really pretty. Okay. You're going to have a lot of Dutch and a lot of Germans come to the middle colonies, okay, because they're more tolerant. The people in the middle colonies are, you're going to see them say, we don't care what religion you are, come to our area. We need people in this area to clear the land, to push back the natives, and to make money for England. Okay? And if you come to this area, we won't discriminate against you because of your religion. Like I mentioned earlier, you're going to have more farms. You're not going to have large plantations. Their cash crop in the middle colonies is going to be wheat. Okay? Their nickname is going to be the bread basket of the colonies. They're going to have fewer slaves than the South. Okay? The North's going to have the fewest slaves because there's no need for them. In the North, you're going to do subsistence farming, growing just enough to get by. In the middle colonies, they are going to grow wheat and sell it to England. Okay? But not the big plantations, so you're not going to need a lot of slaves. And then in the South, we're going to get into the plantations where you're going to need that slave labor to get everything done. Mostly, slaves in the middle colonies are going to be brought in to develop an infrastructure. What's infrastructure?
Government.
Well, no, that's your bureaucracy. Infrastructure.
Labor force.
No? Good guess, no? Infrastructure, remember your roads, your irrigation systems, those types of things. Yeah, so the slaves are going to be brought in the middle colonies to help build buildings, design roads, and then there's not going to be any need for them, and so you're going to see a lot of slaves go free. Or the slaves are going to get second jobs so that when they're not working for whoever they were bought by, then they can go earn money and buy their freedom.
In the middle colonies?
In the middle colonies. Going to see a lot of Quakers in the middle colonies because the middle colonies are tolerant. Right? Remember those radical Quakers, you know, they think women actually could be ministers and everyone should vote? How crazy are they, right? And you're going to see a lot of Germans in the middle colonies because the Germans are going to come over and they're going to see that most of the good land is taken, and so they're going to go further west. And the Germans are going to be known for their craftsmanship. Matter of fact, the Germans are actually the ones who get credit for designing the Costoga wagon. Remember what that is? I think you had this in 5th grade.
Is that the like Little House on the Prairie, those type of wagons?
Yeah, it's a covered wagon. How did that change history? I mean, it really changed history.
Well, for one, usually whenever they traveled, it rained. Wouldn't it? And so,
Not necessarily, but you're right, there's protection from rain.
and also like you can use it as a home.
Yeah, but you said a word in the very beginning, travel. Okay? Costoga wagon made it possible to travel. You could actually, before the Costoga wagon, you can't really pack a whole lot on a horse, can you?
I thought they already had wagons.
They did, the Costoga wagon is designed, everything on it is designed for survival.
So kind
So
of
you
new
could,
model.
yeah, it's kind of like the modern day RV, you know?
It's a Jeep.
They could put tons of supplies in there and go a long, long way, and they couldn't do that prior to this. So you're gonna see people actually start heading west. Okay, let's look specifically at some middle colonies. New York, remember we talked about New York was originally founded by the Dutch, and then the King of England decided that he wanted it. New York is on a harbor, right? And so you have the Hudson River coming in, you could ship resources up and down the river, you have the fishing bay, and so the King Charles II tells his brother, go over there and take that land. And the Dutch do not have a military at this time, so there's really nothing they can do. So they either have to go under the rule of the king or leave. You're going to see a lot of them kind of go out to Pennsylvania. But the Duke of York is going to then take over the territory. It's going to prove too much for him to manage, so he's going to split the land up, and he's going to give a section of it to his buddies, and there's how we get New Jersey. Okay? Now we need people in that territory because, again, if you have a whole bunch of land and it's just you can't control all of it or make money off of it, can you? You need people. You need a workforce. And so to get people to New Jersey, they're going to promise them free land and representative government. So people say, oh, you mean if I go out there, I get to vote and I get free land? How cool is that? And they're going to settle New Jersey. Okay, Pennsylvania, we've talked about this. William Penn's father loaned money to King Charles II, and he died. So William Penn went to the king and said, you need to pay the family back. And the king said, well, instead of giving you money, how about I give you land in the New World? And William Penn called it Penn's Woods. And to get people to move to his area, he promised basically religious freedom. Anything, we'll welcome everyone. We're not going to discriminate. Yeah, Philadelphia to this day is still nicknamed the city of brotherly love because they just pride themselves on being open-minded and welcome to everyone. Something new, huh? By the 1730s, you're going to see the colonies start to develop their own cultures. Do you know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at the north, few slaves, industry. They're going to really promote industry, factories, shipping, things like that. The middle colonies, you're going to get a little bit of slavery, a little bit of farming, and a little bit of industry. And then if you get down south, they're going to say, no, we don't want factories. Agriculture is the way to go. And they're really going to push agriculture, and they're going to have the slaves. Okay? See what problem this might cause in a few years?
Racism.
Well, definitely that. And ultimately, it's going to help lead to the Civil War because there's different ways they think the country should be successful. The North is going to scream technology and industry, okay, and the South is going to scream agriculture and think that they need the slave population to sustain that. Okay?